All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to IGTV. We have with us this morning Access Communications, their virtual training academy, and one of their instructors, John Phelps. And John will be talking about the AVHS Access video hosting service, their camera option which allows for remote recording in the cloud type of service. So, John, why don't you go take it away?
Sure. Thank you, Joe. Good morning. The Access Video hosted system or hosted service really does leverage, the cloud technology that we're all growing rather familiar with. What it really allows is the ability to install specific cameras in a site and not have to have any VMS systems running locally. They're all recorded and maintained and monitored from remote sites. It's a two-tiered structure where a hosting provider will sell the cameras or lease the cameras to the end user, and they in turn actually will lease or buy storage space from a vendor, somebody such as EMC Corporation. And so what it allows you to do is have recurring monthly revenue streams for these cameras on site, and not have the end user have to deal with maintenance or any kind of a server infrastructure. All they need is an internet connection with broadband connectivity to get the stream from those cameras to the hosting site. So it's a very easy setup for them. In reality, again, we're leveraging the whole idea of the cloud, for the remote service. The integrator can install cameras. The end user needs to know nothing about anything other than how to use a web browser, because everything would be web browser based for their connectivity to the cameras. They will actually log into the cameras and be able to view recordings, maybe make some very, very minor changes to the video stream or the view stream that they're seeing in the live session through the browser. But everything else, maintenance-wise, would be done by the integrator behind the scenes. So it makes it for a very simple installation, very low-cost installation, provided there's already internet infrastructure in place at the end user site. Basically, you install the cameras on site, get remote connectivity to them, a patent-pending one-click camera installation where you basically just push the reset button once and the camera automatically goes out, tries to find its host, and begins talking and setting itself up with that host. So again, even on site for the integrator's installer, very, very easy, simple process for them to do as well.
Yeah, it sounds like a plug and play.
It really is. It truly is going to be a very plug and play type environment where, the end user doesn't have to know much about computers, or could know a lot, but just doesn't want the infrastructure doesn't want to build out their infrastructure, or maybe they have a remote site, for instance, an oil rig somewhere that they just want one camera just to make sure that the gate is closed or something like that, where they can simply put a camera with a 3G modem and let it talk back to home. They don't have to do any kind of an infrastructure in place. So it's a very simple process like that. It's really geared towards smaller infrastructures or industries, retail environments or satellite offices, things like that, where you don't want to build out an infrastructure just for cost reasons, obviously.
So you're putting you've got an onboard 3G modem on the cameras?
Well, it's not. We're not going to have the onboard modem on the cameras, but the camera has a special firmware load that's predisposed to talk to the hosted site. So as long as there's internet connectivity on that local site, or in the remote site, you'll be able to get the camera to talk back to the home, so to speak. So like ET phone home kind of an idea.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's IP video. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
What's the IP backbone look like? Is it a mesh network? Is it a wireless network? What are we talking about?
It could be any type of a network. We have, we offer wireless cameras, so you could have a simple, little wireless network in your retail environment, or even in your home, or a vacation home, for instance. You could have just a simple wireless router. The camera could talk to that wireless router and then phone home. Or you could have, a simple switch, a little, inexpensive switch with PoE options or non-PoE for power over Ethernet to power the cameras. Whatever your infrastructure, and then it simply has to talk to some form of a router on a broadband connection to be able to talk remotely.
What
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
what's the most economical version of this? I mean, is there economy in scale over one as opposed to the other? I mean,
I would.
is wire over Ethernet the cheaper way to go? Perhaps the more costly in capital expense, but cheaper overall in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, we offer, we have one camera, the M1031W, which is a wireless camera, which is our one of our more less expensive cameras, and it is also an AVHS client. So that would be a very cost-effective way to, you could buy four of those cameras for less than $1,000 with a wireless router. And as long as you have, a type of a, broadband cable or DSL connection, something like that, you're looking at probably, $1,000 to purchase it, less than $1,000 to purchase it as the integrator. And then obviously, you would sell that service to the end user for whatever the bundle price you've come up with.
Yeah,
Maybe it's
right.
$50 a month or something like that. So it would take a little while to recoup that cost, but for the end user, it's very, very cost effective. Maybe you're looking at $100 or maybe $200 a month or whatever the cost might be, on that end. And then, you have access to those recordings, to those cameras for live viewing remotely anywhere in the world, because you're just using a web browser, whether it be on a Macintosh, whether it be on a Linux computer, whether it be on a Windows machine. It's just simple browser connection at that point. So it can be very cost effective. Wired or wireless. And obviously we offer the AVHS client software in our very expensive PTZ cameras as well. So, your options would determine, or your needs would determine what options you go with. So it could be, you could build out an amazing surveillance system based on AVHS as well. It's just what you want to put in place, for your own infrastructure. It may not make sense to spend, so much money and not have your own infrastructure, or it may. It depends on if you don't want to have a staff IT guy maintaining your cameras, which, as we know, can be very costly as well. So.
Oh yeah, yeah, and whether or not you have your own monitoring station, there's a lot of different
Exactly.
things that come into play with that. I certainly
Absolutely.
I certainly get you there. There's no doubt about that. How's your experience been with the I know a lot of people love the fact that they can go wireless these days with these cameras and not build, or rather than build, tear apart their offices and workplaces, by installing wired systems all over
Mhm.
the place. How's that working out? Quality?
Depending on the complexity of the system, or the robustness needed, it can be very, very effective with wireless, and it's a very popular solution for us as well, sales wise. For especially for the temporary type installations, or the one-off cameras where somebody just simply needs to put a camera in a storeroom or something like that, where it's not cost effective, as you mentioned, to kind of tear apart the ceiling to get wire to it. You
Yeah.
simply just carry a little wireless camera in there, and with AVHS, it can be very cost effective to do the whole. Let's say you only need 4 to 5 cameras in a retail shop. You can pick up a simple little wireless router, get a couple of AVHS cameras in there, and pretty much be done with it. Without wiring, without any infrastructure knowledge, without any technical knowledge as far as how to build out a VMS and a IP network. So it can be, very cost effective, and it seems to be very popular as an idea, and integrators are liking it because it's recurring monthly revenue. They're
Well,
selling this service to somebody, and getting a few bucks every month back in return. So.
as one of the programs my son watches on TV says, "Hey, look, we're trained professionals. Don't do this by yourself at home. You know,
Exactly.
those wireless networks are not to be played with. You know, that's important stuff out there, and you certainly don't want any of your personally identifiable information slipping out those networks.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
get a trained
Oh, absolutely.
professional to
Yeah.
do it, and it's probably the better way
Absolutely.
to
I mean,
go.
that's, when we position our wireless cameras, when even in the academies, when people ask us specifically about the wireless cameras, we definitely recommend, as you mentioned, definitely stay clear of using, simple identifiable names for your SSID, for
Oh
your,
yeah.
just to make it a little bit less, difficult, or excuse me, more difficult, less easy to identify who's running the network.
So
Simple
I
things like
shouldn't
that.
name
But
that SSID the Concanon Family Wireless Network.
yeah, I mean, something really obvious like that makes it much easier for the criminals. They don't have to work as hard then. So yeah, you gotta, it's simple logic. It's no different than, don't use your birth date for your PIN number for your ATM card. Try to use your wife's instead. Nobody will know that.
Oh no.
That's great. All right, John. Listen, anything else to follow up with this? I know you got a
I
great
will
product
post
line up
this.
there.
I'll send you this document that I have. It's a PowerPoint, about 40 slides, that kind of goes over this information. So your viewers can take a look at it and understand it a little bit better. But it's definitely something that that we're pushing for ease of installation, ease of use of IP products.
Yeah, no, I understand that. And if you want to, the chat is live right now. If you're up on our website, you can post any links. If the PowerPoint slides are actually on a website, just put the link right up on the chat, and people can
Okay.
grab that for a week. All right.
Okay.
So that's it. That's a good thing as well. Listen,
Okay.
sorry
Cool.
we had a little problem connecting earlier.
I apologize. Yeah.
But overall, a very very good session indeed. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you.
All right.
All
Bye.
right. Take care.
All right.